We're working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Alma Angeles, bringing to you the latest in the coronavirus situation around the world, plus other news in the ASEAN region and other countries in the world. And we will be getting that, and we will be joining in by our EBC correspondents from around the globe. But first, we're proud to have with us Ambassador to New Zealand, Jesus Gary Domingo, to update us on the country's national measures to limit the spread of the coronavirus there, especially protecting our kababayans or who are residents or who may have found themselves unable to return to our home country because of recent curbs on travel and many more. Ambassador, welcome to the show.
Magandang hapon po. Yes, greetings from New Zealand.
Kumusta po, Ambassador? Kumusta po dyan sa New Zealand? Can you give us an update on the measures undertaken by the government to safeguard our kababayans there and other residents from the coronavirus?
Well, una-una, with the host government, New Zealand, starting Wednesday, we are at alert level 4, meaning basically lockdown. People are enjoined to stay in their homes and only to leave their homes for urgent necessities such as going to the grocery, going to shopping for food or for medicines or seeking medical treatment. Now, of the Filipinos we have here in New Zealand, there are 80,000 in all, but again, many of them are already New Zealand citizens or permanent residents. So the embassy, together with our Philippine Overseas Labor Office, or the POLO, are focusing on those holding work visa status. So right now, we are the New Zealand government has called for all non-essential businesses to close. Now, the problem is not only Filipino work visa holders are affected, even New Zealand citizens and permanent residents. So the government has a wage subsidy scheme, which basically means they're giving government is giving support for businesses so that they can compensate for the wages for their affected workers. So. Some of the problems we've encountered is that some of the wage subsidy is not going to worker. Another problem are those who have been laid off. But we want to emphasize that under the so when Filipinos are recruited to go overseas, they work with a recruitment agency. The recruitment agency. In order to hire workers, they have to get POAA approval, and they have the responsibility and liability to render assistance to the workers until they are safely repatriated home. But nevertheless, we're also attending to immediate emergency needs. We are working with the New Zealand authorities to make sure that employers are doing what they're supposed to do in providing wage subsidy support. There are some cases of not just Filipinos but other persons who are being asked to leave their accommodations. But the New Zealand government has declared that basically that apartments, hotels, and houses cannot evict their tenants or people are staying with them in light of the crisis. We have a number of Filipinos awaiting repatriation, basically tourists and students who are caught, and we are appealing to Philippine Airlines to restore their flights. All the flights between New Zealand and the Philippines have been canceled. Also, we have a few number also stranded in our jurisdiction in Fiji, Cook Islands, and French Polynesia. So again, we are urging our Philippine Airlines and our colleagues in Manila to help restore at least one repatriation flight from Philippines to New Zealand and vice versa, and going back to the Philippines. Thank you.
Okay, so there is a lockdown now. So far, how has the population been? Are they being obedient to the guidelines set by the government during this lockdown po?
Yes, it's very calm, and at least that's the good news here that the lockdown has been going smoothly.
And what about supplies, grocery supplies? Is it enough for the population?
Oh yeah, in fact, it is enough. There has been of course, some panic buying, but the government has assured us, and also the supermarkets and food stores. Actually, there's ample supply, so hoarding is being discouraged. But safety measures are being taken in place that there's a limit to the number of people who can go inside a grocery or a food store, and social distancing must be observed, at least 2 meters.
And what about curfews? Has it been implemented there, just like here in the Philippines and other countries as well?
Well, I mean, there's a general prohibition on leaving homes,
Okay.
except for again urgent matters such as food shopping or availing of medicines, and they allow at least some exercise within the vicinity of the home.
What about civic organizations there? Are they taking any steps, steps to help out with the medical supplies, services, and food? And what are these? Do you know if there is any? Ambassador?
Okay, well, we're happy to report that we're having strong support from our kababayan, particularly the Good Hearts New Zealand Foundation Trust and the Pinoy Helping Pinoy Coalitions, and of course many individual kababayan who are helping. In fact, the embassy has also released an online form to register as a volunteer, or also as if for those who need help to also register as a client for our services and assistance.
What happens to workers who are being laid off? Paano ho yung mga kababayan natin dyan? Are there any reports that we have kababayans and even residents there who were laid off? What compensation?
Yes, there are many cases. Again, hindi lang ating mga work visa holders, pati mga citizens mismo. So our Philippine Overseas Labor Office, headed by Labat Angel Borja, is hard at work working with their employers and with the New Zealand authorities to provide support.
What other steps is the government taking to stop the spread of this virus, aside from the lockdown?
Okay, well, aside from the lockdown, also the hospitals, the frontliners, the hospitals, the clinics are already reaching top capacity. So a lot of effort by the Ministry of Health is with curing those who have testing and curing, and so the Ministry of Health and the Health Network is already going into overdrive.
Ambassador, I just heard that you formed a volunteer group over there.
Yes, we have. Well, actually, there are quite a number of volunteers and some groups already operating, but many have requested to volunteer with the embassy. So we have a platform to log in. You could find the login details in the Philippine Embassy Facebook page. It's our Volunteer Ambassador Framework, or VAMBA.
Okay, so we just log on to that, and
Yes.
marami na kami makikita doon. And everybody can volunteer. Anyone can volunteer po ba? Ano po ba ang qualifications niyo to volunteer?
Yes. Even from your home, again, we are in lockdown, so marami pa rin magagawa through going online, communicating through Facebook, through emails, to social media.
Ambassador, do you have any last words for us? Any message for us na siyempre magkakahiwalay po tayo ngayon, lalo na po yung mga kababayan natin dyan. We are all being separated by families, but we have technology to see each other. But do you have any message for our kababayans here and for our Filipino, for everyone?
Well, of course, these are very trying times, but the Lord does not give us challenges that He does not feel we can meet them, but that requires us to make kapit bisig, but of course in a spiritual and a moral emotional way, not literally. But so I think kayang-kaya natin ito. Of course, stay home, stay safe, and observe the guidelines, regulations, of the host government. And but yes, let's do keep in touch, at least with social media. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Ambassador, and we'll keep in touch. Salamat po.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ambassador. To Malaysia now, AmBank Group research said the coronavirus-induced recession is expected to place both the global economy as well as the Malaysian economy into technical recession. We have an update from Ruby Tinawin, our EBC correspondent in Malaysia. Ruby?
Yes, AmBank Group research said the coronavirus-induced recession is expected to place both the global economy as well as the Malaysian economy into technical recession. In the note today given by the AmBank Group Chief Economist and Head of Research, Dr. Anthony Das, he said the impact of this virus should reduce by the end of the second quarter of 2020. He also mentioned that part of this, he said, unlike the 2008 financial crisis that originated from the financial sector, the current economic turmoil experienced by both the world and Malaysia came completely from outside the financial sector. Das, who is also an adjunct professor in economics at the University of New England, Sydney, Australia, he said, normalization of both the global and domestic economy should take place in the second half of 2020. He also said that the issue came from the virus impact that is directly harming areas of the economy like tourism and tourism-related activities, and the other areas of economic activities like manufacturing, construction, mining, and agriculturing following the lockdown. He further mentioned also that it has affected businesses in the informal sector. The job market is impacted by retrenchments, and many workers are going on unpaid leave in many sectors. On the comprehensive economic package to be announced by Malaysia's Prime Minister today, Das said the stimulus package 2 should be more ambitious than stimulus package 1 of 20 billion ringgit in terms of reaching a wider range of target groups and to cover a broader range of economic activities. He said it must address 6 strategic issues to reduce unemployment and increase job opportunities. He also talked about easing the economic burden of the people, supporting the private sector, undertaking capacity building for the future, supporting the SMEs, supporting the informal business activities and those working in this sector. He added the focus should be on the transportation sector, given the rising urbanization, tourism, green initiative, education, health, halal sector, new technologies, and upgrading of human resource development. The Malaysian Institute of Economics Research actually shared the same views on the likelihood of possible recession. According to them, assuming that the movement control order, or what they call MCO, is extended for another 2 weeks to contain the COVID-19 pandemic, Malaysia's real gross domestic product may shrink at about 2.9% for 2020 compared to 2019, resulting in some 2.4 million people losing their jobs. They further estimates that any additional 2 weeks extension of the lockdown may amplify the real GDP's contraction by between 3% and 4% relative to the 2020 baseline. They estimate a part of Malaysian Institute of Economic Research analysis of the economic impact of COVID-19 in Malaysia. Earlier in February, it is expected that the overall economic impact on GDP growth would be a reduction of between 0.8% and 2%, from the baseline trend for the low and high scenarios. Now, it has revised its estimate as the pandemic advanced beyond the initial infectious phase, leading to the partial lockdown resulting in economic disruption, affecting the country's pattern of production, consumption, and trade, as well as its population's income and employment. Besides the shrinking real GDP, they now project household incomes may fall 12% relative to the baseline, amounting to 95 billion ringgit. Meanwhile, they expect 67% of the 2.4 million job losses. It's estimated presumably mainly non-salaried jobs will be unskilled workers. The agency is proposing that the government set aside an extraordinary crisis budget comparable to the projected income loss of 95 billion ringgit to mitigate COVID-19's impact on economy. Since 20 billion was pledged earlier, an additional 75 billion will be needed. Such allocation is imperative, especially to avoid company bankruptcies, job losses, and impaired household incomes and welfare throughout the business support, SMEs, rejuvenation, and social safety net programs. Now is also timely for the government, according to them, to revisit the country's overall socio-economic goals, to establish policies, mechanisms, and measures to move the economy towards resiliency and genuine prosperity, and not unsustainable growth-oriented policies of past decades. They also pointed out the country's agriculture should be refocused on food-based agriculture instead of a commodity-focused one, especially in light of the nation's food security and sovereignty. The agency called for the government to review its fiscal policy also, including Budget 2020, which was announced by the previous Pakatan Harapan government to deal with economic issues due to the COVID-19 outbreak. Going forward, Malaysia's Institute of Economic Research said its experts the recovery from this year's projected economic recession due to COVID-19 and the recommended stimulus package implementation will result in a V-shaped recovery, as what had happened in all previous recession here since 1985. So year 2021 will see a better economic performance. As such, it recommends the Perikatan National Government for its forthcoming Budget 2021 to consider bringing back the goods and service tax with appropriate rate adjustments and coverage, and also an improved mechanism in collections and rebates. Now, following the two-week movement control order to combat the COVID-19 threat in Malaysia, the Malaysian Digital Economic Corporation, or MDEC, has launched a hashtag Digital versus COVID campaign, marshalling local technical companies to extend digital solutions and services to affected domestic businesses and consumers. The hashtag Digital versus COVID campaigns call to serve the nation received very encouraging responses, particularly by MDEC's network of companies consisting of tech startups and scale-ups that are recognized for their unique tech innovations and sizable business footprints locally and abroad. The Prime Minister is expected to announce comprehensive economic stimulus package today that as a result of the extension of the movement control order, which is now extended to April 14, the attention will definitely be on the announcement of the government of a more comprehensive economic stimulus package to face the challenges brought by this COVID-19 pandemic. The announcement will be made by the Prime Minister, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, and it is hoped that it will benefit everyone. In his special message broadcast over television and social media 2 days ago, he said the package will not sideline anyone. Meanwhile, most of the attention must surely be on the level of public compliance. Nowadays, here that there is a lockdown, extended lockdown, as there are still a small number of people who stubbornly refuse to abide it. The government will no longer compromise on this, but will take sterner actions against them, imposing tighter control. So the National Security Council will now draw up a new standard operating procedure under MCO, which aim is to have implement tighter control, including the possibility of imposing more restrictions on public movement to purchase daily essentials and food. The authorities will be more strict and will not hesitate to mete out punishment on people who persist on violating the MCO. To date, 110 people have been arrested for not complying with the lockdown ruling since it was imposed on March 18, which is a reflection of the government's seriousness of the current situation. They said the choice is now with the people if they want to prevent the spread of COVID-19 to themselves and their loved ones. As of midnight last night, 235 new cases have been reported, bringing the number of positive COVID-19 cases in Malaysia to 2,031, with 23 deaths. The government has also so far brought back 2,417 Malaysians stranded in 26 countries. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry has also released a list of hotspots in Malaysia for COVID-19 cases, with 11 places identified in the peninsula and one each in Sabah and Sarawak. On his announcement, the Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said, any area with 41 or more confirmed COVID-19 cases is classified as a hotspot. In the peninsula, the state of Selangor has the highest number of hotspots, with Petaling Jaya with 167 cases, Hulu Langat with 132, and Gombak 53. This is followed by Kuala Lumpur, with Titiwangsa registering 167 cases and Titiwangsa 49. Perak, another state in Malaysia, has two hotspots in Hulu Perak, 48 cases, and Kinta, 41. Seremban in Negri Sembilan has 78 cases, while Johor has two hotspots, with Johor Bahru having 68 cases and Kluang 54. In Sabah, Tawau is in a hotspot with 49 cases, while Kuching in Sarawak recorded 45 cases. Following an unusual spike in COVID-19 cases, the government has imposed a lockdown. It's an extended lockdown in two townships in Simpang Renggam, Johor, beginning yesterday, with some 3,500 residents told to stay home at all times and all business activities ordered to close. The two areas are Kampung Dato Ibrahim Majid and Bandar Baru Dato Ibrahim Majid, both located in Simpang Renggam, Kluang, Johor. The Defense Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the move, dubbed as Enhanced Movement Control Order, or EMCO, will last until April 9. Throughout the two-week lockdown, authorities will distribute basic food necessities with the help of the Social Welfare Department to some 650 families.
Ruby, hello.
Yes, Alma?
Yes. So, kumusta naman ang mga kapwa Pilipino natin dyan? Are they okay? Do you have enough food available at the supermarkets? How are you doing?
Yes, as of today,
Yes.
there's no issue in buying your essentials, groceries, and all that. The only thing that is being imposed is social distancing,
Okay.
at least 1 meter apart. So there were enforcers in those hypermarkets to make sure that you keep that distance.
Okay.
And they still encourage the use of masks and sanitizers, although they provided it in almost every corner of those shopping malls, or grocery stores and hypermarkets. Alma?
Okay. Okay, Ruby, I wish we had more time. I would like to thank you, but please keep the updates coming, and please do take care of yourselves. Balitaan nyo kami kung ano pong nangyayari dyan as we follow this developing story. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Ruby. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. From EBC Malaysia Bureau, this is Ruby Tinawin. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Ruby. We have some business news coming in from Cambodia in a move aimed at keeping the garment industry afloat. The government there has offered sweeping tax rates to qualifying companies, And also construction of power plants aim to generate some 100, 400 megawatts suspended because of the coronavirus. Joining us live is our EBC correspondent in Cambodia, Crystal Ann Ballesteros. Crystal.
Hi, Alma.
Hi, how are you?
As of now,
Mm-hmm.
here in Cambodia, struggling textile industry gets reprieve with new tax breaks.
Okay.
The government has decided to waive 50% to 100% tax on the textile industry for the 6 months as a means of easing its financial burden, stated the Ministry of Economy and Finance PRACAS. Enterprises whose income is expected to experience 20% to 39% drop will benefit a 50% tax exemption, whereas companies anticipate more than 40% impact are given a full waiver. The PRACAS, signed by Minister Anporn Monirawat, was issued to mitigate challenges in Cambodia's largest economy sector. It listed several requirements companies must fulfill in order to qualify for the exemption. The companies must produce documents that shows actual impact to the income due to the partial suspension of the Everything But Arms or EBA scheme preference when submitting their tax declaration forms, the PRACAS stated. Early this year, the European Commission decided to partially suspend the EBA starting August, which would affect 20% of export comprising clothes, footwear, and bags to the European Union. The total value of that export amounts to over $1 billion a year. Garment Manufacturers Association in Cambodia Deputy Secretary General Kang Monica told the Post that the income tax exemption might not ease much of the industry's burden, which is already impacted by the loss of business from order suspensions due to the COVID-19 outbreak. He also added that garment enterprises do not expect to be profitable this year. The big challenge now and in the near future is cash flow, as they cannot deliver the goods to the buyers and they might not receive any cash payments. Therefore, factories will not have money to pay salaries. Cambodian Labor Confederation President asked Thon opened that the tax measure would partially offset the textile industry's impact in Cambodia. He also said that the sector is experiencing a poor demand due to the suspension of orders by buyers. I think that if there is no market to sell, we do not know where products would go, he said, and this can lead to unemployment soon. Last year, Cambodia exported $1.2 billion worth of travel products compared to $600 million in 2018. Overall, the nation's exports amounted to $14.6 billion in 2019, 12.7% from 2018, whereas imports grew 18.6% to $22.3 billion from a year ago. Meanwhile, Cambodia new investments total of $900 million spread over 9 provinces. Cambodia registered 40 new investment projects worth more than $900 million in the first 3 months of this year, according to the Council for the Development of Cambodia or CDC. The approved projects include the production of clothing, travel goods, household appliances, furniture, light bulbs, and batteries, construction of five-star hotel and supermarkets. The 40 projects belong to different companies located in suburb of Phnom Penh and the other provinces. The investment projects will generate over 30,000 new jobs for locals, especially those outside the capital city. Also, new power supply will miss dry season because of the virus. The combined 400 megawatt supply of power plants proposed to run on heavy fuel oil in Kandal province will not generate power as planned in the first part of this year because of construction has been suspended by COVID-19. Two construction firms constructed to build the plants are from China, where the COVID-19 started and which imposed strict bans on travel and enforced quarantines, said Victor Jonah, the Director General of Energy at the Ministry of Mines and Energy. Jonah said that the power plants were scheduled to generate power to the grid within the first semester of this year. But because the companies, due to the build the plans, could not complete the construction on time after the outbreak of COVID-19, which have made it difficult to travel in and out of China, along with the other issues such as facing strict quarantine controls. The generation of power is suspended. The suspension may last for up to 6 months.
Okay. So,
Alma?
all right. Would there be a problem if you don't have, if that power plant's construction would be suspended? Mawawalan ba kayo ng kuryente o hindi naman? Do you have enough supply?
Well, Alma, as of now, nothing is mentioned by the Prime Minister. What is mentioned is that the construction will be delayed and suspended up to 6 months.
Okay. So what about the garment industry? Do we have Filipino workers there sa Cambodia, dyan sa garment industry natin? Because I don't have any idea, but I don't know if you know if there are any Filipinos there sa garment industry ng Cambodia.
Well, actually po, there's a lot of Filipinos who's working in garments.
Ah, okay.
And some of the garments are closing,
Yeah.
and some of the Filipino workers are already going back to the country and they don't have jobs.
Ah, they don't have jobs. Okay. So wala rin compensation sa kanila. They don't have what is the government doing for them, those who are laid off? May alam mo ba?
Well, some of the companies po, they have compensations, but others, they are still waiting if the company will reopen
Okay.
after COVID-19.
All right. Thank you very much, and keep the updates coming. We'll see you soon. Thank you, Crystal Ann.
Thank you so much, Alma. This is Crystal from Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and we live with interesting times.
Thank you. Ingat. All right, do we go on a break? All right, we'll be back right after this short break.
When visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
All right, welcome back. On the heels of the Tokyo Summer Olympics being pushed back to next year, 2021, Tokyo and the other cities there have reported a spike in new cases. We have an update coming in. Joining us live is Dennis Liu. Dennis.
Hi, good afternoon, Alma. Welcome to our televiewers there.
Welcome, Dennis. Good to see you. What is our update there over there in Japan?
Right, I have some updates here regarding, yes, the number of infected people in each prefecture. According to local governments and the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, in Japan, 1,399 people were infected. Tokyo has 259 people. Hokkaido has 168. Aichi Prefecture has 157 people. Osaka has 156 people as well. Hyogo Prefecture has 120 people. Kanagawa Prefecture has 93. Saitama has 67 people. Chiba Prefecture has 56. 34 people in Kyoto. 29 people in Niigata. Oita Prefecture has 25 who have been affected. Wakayama Prefecture has 17 people. 15 people in Gifu Prefecture. Gunma has 14. Kochi has 12. Tochigi has 10. Ibaraki Prefecture has 10 people. Miya Prefecture has 9. Nara has 9 also. Fukuoka has 9. Ishikawa has 8. Kumamoto has 8. Aomori has 6. 6 also in Yamaguchi Prefecture. And in Shiga, there are 6. Nagano Prefecture has 5. Fukui has 5. 4 has 4 people in Yamanashi. Hiroshima has 4 as well. Shizuoka has 3. So as Ehime and Miyazaki. 2 people in Akita, Fukushima, Nagasaki, Miyagi or Kayama has 1. Tokushima, Kagawa Prefecture, and Saga Prefecture has 1 person being affected. And Alma, yes, while the coronavirus is spreading around the world, Japan looks like it's controlling infections exceptionally.
Okay.
As compared to other countries. But other people think that there are actually more infected people, but they have not yet been tested. After the announcement of Tokyo Governor, meanwhile, Yoriko Koike, last Wednesday, to refrain from non-essential, non-urgent outings through April 12 next month, especially on weekends. It caused some residents to stock up on everything for instant noodles, toiletries, and fresh food, among others, despite the warning about hoarding, Alma. Tokyo residents were also asked to remain calm amid this crisis. Wala pa namang lockdown, Alma.
Okay.
And to refrain from weekend public gatherings. Yes, and
So-
yes, Alma.
Yes. So, how is Japan? Sabi mo, no, they were very exceptional in keeping this under control. How is Japan keeping COVID-19 under control? What are you guys doing?
Oh, yes, life goes on. They're very strict. However, people are free from doing their own thing. Except the past few days when Koike, Governor Koike, yes, convinced people to stay at home during this weekend because of, yes, still increasing number of infected people, Alma. And we also think, we are parents, and the nursery school that our kids are going in, they are calling our attention to tomorrow is a holiday, tomorrow is a Saturday. So as much as possible, we should keep the kids at home.
Okay.
And avoid unnecessary
Travel.
travel.
Yeah.
That's correct, Alma.
So, what campaigns has the Ministry of Health over there undertaken to keep the population in check? Do you know? Are you updated about this? Or will you come back to me with that? Yeah.
Oh, yes, Alma. We keep in some gatherings where I have seen, there are thermometers and alcohol by the door that people could use. So people also should wear masks at all times, especially if they are in public places. That is the update so far, Alma.
And Dennis, if I could remember, the trains there are usually jam-packed, diba? So how are the residents coping? How's the riding public coping with this?
Oh yes, when the school closures initially mentioned,
The trains,
yes, there are only few students are coming in and boarding on trains. However, the past few days, you could also see the increased number of passengers on board the train. Maybe especially because of the sakura season or the cherry blossom.
Yeah. What about
But-
social distancing? You've been practicing that, but isn't that really a culture of Japan already, social distancing?
That's correct, Alma.
Yeah.
And because everyone is still, most of the people are wearing masks. Yes, that is, I think everyone is safe if they are wearing masks already.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you for your updates, and we'll be
welcome,
hearing more
Alma.
from you, from your country. Thank you, and mag-iingat po
We
kayo.
will keep you posted. Kayo rin po dyan.
Thank you, Dennis.
In interesting times.
Thank you. Panic buying has caused a spike in egg prices in Bangkok. Also, the Prime Minister there expressed concern over the massive damage caused by a bushfire in a park in Chiang Mai, which also sent air pollution in that province to record highs. We have a report coming in from our EBC correspondent, Aaron Blue, Calleja, Bangna. Aaron, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, Alma.
Hi.
Bushfire sends PM 2.5 level to record high.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha on Thursday expressed concern over massive damage caused by the bushfire in Doi Sutep-Pui National Park in Chiang Mai, which also sent the air pollution in the northern province a record high. Although the blaze, which broke on Wednesday evening, has been brought under control, the damage it left behind is extensive, Chiang Mai governor said. He added that the bushfire sends PM 2.5 levels in the area to record levels of around 1,000 micrograms per cubic meter. That is 25 or 20 times above level considered by the Pollution Control Department or PCD. Mr. Chawenrit said that almost 500 local officials and soldiers from the 3rd Army Region were called in to fight the blaze. They spent more than 14 hours bringing the bushfire under control. In Bangkok, the government spokeswoman Naruwon Pinyo-Sinwat said the Prime Minister was gravely concerned by the fire on Don Sutep-Pui National Park and ordered the related agencies under the Interior Ministry to work with the Royal Thai Army to put out the rest of the blaze. He also ordered helicopters to assist with the mission. General Prayut's primary concern is the health of the elderly and the children, and he asked them to avoid going outside because of the smoke. Chiang Mai was not the only province plagued with the air pollution issues, with many others registering PM 2.5 levels above 50 micrograms per cubic meter. The PCD latest PM 2.5 dust index also revealed severely unhealthy levels of air pollution in Chiang Rai, Mae Hong Son, and Nang on Thursday. Unhealthy readings were also reported by Air Pollution Monitoring Station in Lampang, Lamphun, Prey, Prayao, Tak, and Kampeng Phet. Pralong Dongrong Thai, PCD Director General, said, based on the most recent satellite imagery, the number of hotspots in North likely to be decreased. At present, there are 377 and 364 hotspots in around Chiang Mai and Mae Hong Son, respectively. Mr. Pralong said that the air pollution in North can partly blamed by the fire across the borders, and the government is working with Myanmar to help address the issue. Meanwhile, in Payong or Payao, villagers and park officials took 15 hours to put out the bushfire in Pusang National Park and said Park Chief Bantong Somun on Thursday. And for the next report, spike in egg prices raises gouging fear here in Thailand. Panic buying and possible price gouging by some traders is being blamed from the spike in the retail price of eggs, which has prompted the Commerce Ministry to threaten stern legal action against profiteering. Manote Chutampim, president of Layer Chickens Association, said demand for eggs in the past 10 days has surged based on the fears of the spread of the COVID-19 and the declaration of the emergency decree. People have resorted to panic buying after mistakenly believing that they will be banned from leaving Bangkok or their homes. Mr. Manote said the price has mostly increased in the retail sectors as eggs are still being sold at the normal price of 2.80 baht a piece outside farms. Moreover, farmers have not stockpiled their produce. However, when people began hoarding eggs, the middleman or the retail shops may have pushed prices, according to the association president.
Aaron?
The commerce yes?
Aaron, aside from eggs na tumaas ang presyo, are there any other items na tumaas din ang presyo dyan sa Bangkok? I think it's happening all over the world. It's not just in your area, it's eggs, but what other items? Yeah, meron pa ba?
According to our observation, still the prices of the goods are in good condition. No price hike yet because we are under state of emergency right now, and also the government control po the price of the basic goods po.
So, kukontrolin na rin nila to yung nakita nilang spike in egg prices. Nagkagulo
Yes,
sa itlog.
ramdam po talaga, Alma. Kasi when you go to groceries, there's no stock of eggs, even the big groceries po.
Oh, hindi toilet paper, eggs ang dyan sa Bangkok.
Yes. Yes, toilet papers are still available po. And also the hand sanitizers, alcohol, and also other stuff for medical usage, medyo nag-decrease din po ang production dito due to high demand po.
Okay, so mag-iingat kayo dyan, We'll be, keep the updates coming, Aaron, and we'll be hearing from you these coming days. Maraming salamat, and please do take care of yourselves.
Yes, thank you, Alma. And reporting from Bangkok, Thailand, this is Aaron Blue Calleja, and we live in interesting times.
Okay, still in Thailand, the Phuket governor has issued a notice calling for the tourists to self-quarantine themselves in their hotel rooms from 5 p.m. to midnight. We have an update from Ian Selada, our EBC Thailand Bureau. Ian, how are you?
Hi, good afternoon, Alma.
Good afternoon.
Good here. So as of today, Phuket immigration touts anti-crowding COVID measures. So the announcements come after the days of crowds of tourists and other foreigners arriving in the main Phuket immigration office in Phuket town in the hope of extending their stay during the current state of emergency lockdown. The new anti-COVID measures, including body temperatures, screening of all staff, visitors, and the detainees awaiting repatriations of the office. Phuket Immigration Chief Kol Narong Chanapaikul announced yesterday, and he said no exceptions. All staff must wear masks while performing their duties, and we request cooperation from all visitors to wear a mask. And he added hand sanitizers have been made available for all people to use before entering the building. And they have installed signs asking for people to wash their hands. And Chief Kol Narong said all visitors are asked to maintain a distance at least 1 meter from officials and other visitors. 3 tents have been set up in front of the building where visitors can wait in the shades. There are ventilation fans in every tent. He said of note, temperature in Phuket is recently, days have been rising to high as 37 degrees Celsius. And he added inside the main building, officers have been dedicated to maintain queue tickets instead of having each foreigner use the ticket issuing machine. And every day after work, all areas of the building are cleaned and disinfected.
So tourists are being asked to self-quarantine themselves from in hotel rooms from 5 p.m. ng hapon until midnight.
Yes.
No?
Until midnight, but that one, this one, Alma, is this one is from temporarily yesterday. They just tried. So if the people or the here in Phuket is they gonna work or not.
So when was this? When was this implemented? Yesterday? Today?
Yesterday, it's implemented yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh, oh. So how are the tourists? Are they obedient? Are they inside the hotel rooms, or can you still see them outside after 5 p.m.?
Yes, actually, most of them is already in the hotels.
Okay.
But I've seen some of the beaches are still like some guests are they still having a good time in the beaches. So some of them is quite hard. Yes.
Okay. Are there measures for them? Are there any penalties if they're seen outside the hotel rooms?
This one is temporarily, not yet, the government is not yet implemented. This one is like for temporarily for the curfew. But they are required to wear a mask. So
Okay.
if they're not going to wear a mask, they're going to be like a penalty or something to pay for
All
that.
right. Okay, thank you very much, Ian. Keep the updates coming. We'll be hearing from you. Thank you, and do
Thank you
take
very
care.
much. Yes, you too. So this is Ian Salada reporting from Phuket, Thailand. We are living in interesting times.
Indeed. Thank you, Ian. Further isolation measures for those arriving in Australia will be applied by midnight tomorrow. Patricia Madronio from our EBC Australian Bureau joins us live. Patricia, how are you?
Thank you, Alma. I'm very well, thanks. So for our latest updates for the COVID-19 situation here in Australia, as of 2:15 today, the confirmed COVID-19 cases in Australia exceed 3,000. New South Wales has now been identified to have hotspots, with total cases now approaching 1,400. The states of Victoria and Queensland have now also reported more than 500 cases respectively. And the reported deaths are now 13, with Queensland experiencing its first virus-related death this week. As for cases of recovery, there have been 118 reported since yesterday, and further reports are currently being finalized. Today, Australian leaders, including the Prime Minister, premiers and chief ministers, met to once again reaffirm new lockdown procedures in an effort to contain the rapid spread of the virus, as well as discuss possible measures to effectively sustain the economy. However, in Queensland, the local government elections are proceeding. Measures have been taken to reduce the risks of these public gatherings, like flagging the state emergency services to help maintain physical distancing at poll booths, and the availability of the options to pre-vote or vote through the post. However, this is posed as a big concern for the general public, as well as medical professionals, who express that this decision is contrary to the efforts of encouraging the Queenslanders to stay in their homes. The government is now putting into place a business hibernation plan in which businesses will close their doors for the time being. This is an effort to reduce the possibility of the proprietors being burdened heavily by the possible rental payments and other liabilities that may come up in the next 6 months or so of this continuing pandemic. So for the further isolation measures for those arriving in Australia, these will be applied by midnight tomorrow. The chief medical officer, Brendan Murphy, identified that 2/3 of the cases are from Australians who are returning home. The Health Protection Principal Committee then recommended measures to ensure that no transmission results from returning travelers. So from tomorrow, upon arrival to the country, in all states and territories, people will sign self-isolation cards and will be quarantined in hotels and other accommodation facilities for the 2 weeks of mandatory self-isolation. The Australian Defence Force will also be turned out to support the people's compliance with these measures. For now, the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, has encouraged Australians to do the right thing by following the new social distancing rules, and they're urging people to stay connected through the use of social media and phone calls. Indeed, the effort to slow down the spread of COVID-19 relies on the cooperation of the Australian people and the willingness to comply with the rapidly developing measures the Australian government is taking. That's all for now, Alma.
All right. Thank you very much. Patricia, you're a student. What are you doing now? No school? How do you keep yourself amused, educated, and all that?
Well, for now, all of the Australian universities at this point have reverted to online schooling. So
Good,
lectures and workshops are all being held online. Thank goodness for programs such as Zoom, where we're able to actually do active participation in classes as well, and it's not just passive watching tutorials. So for now, Australian universities have adapted very well to transitioning into online study.
All right, thank you very much, Patricia. Keep the updates coming, and we'll be hearing from you these coming days. Thank you. Keep safe. Do take care.
Thank you so much. You too. This is Patricia Madronio from Gold Coast, Australia, and we live in interesting times.
All right, let's go to the Middle East. In Qatar, they have taken extreme measures to limit the economic damage in their private sector. We have a report coming in from Abby Basa. Abigail, hi, how are you? Hello, Abby. Oh, okay, we lost her. We lost the connection. All right, let's go over to first to Canada. Okay, new survey shows trouble ahead for the nation's labor market. Jeanette Duazo joins us live from our EBC Canada Bureau. Jeanette?
Hello.
Hello, Jeanette. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Okay, so what's up?
Try
What's
to throat.
okay.
Yeah. So in Canada, the government, the provincial government, they're really focusing on keeping people calm. Okay. So what is with the ongoing tough times globally due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many people are in need of financial assistance. And the federal government, as well as the provincial level, are trying to help Canadians in many different ways. So on the federal level, citizens requiring assistance can apply for the for the employment insurance if they're laid off, emergency insurance sickness benefits if they're sick, and or quarantine and they don't have paid sick leave. And I have more on the unpaid sick leave on the provincial level here in Victoria and later on. But the most current announcement to support people facing unemployment in Canada is the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. So the government will provide a taxable benefit of $2,000 a month for up to 4 months. This is for people taking care of family members who are sick or have children staying at home due to school closures, and or if their work hours have been reduced. This will be accessible and people can apply for it starting in early April. And after 10 days of application, people will start receiving the money. So previously reported, there's like $82 billion that the government is allocating for this. But after, like, it's so fast, like things are happening so fast. So after a quick caucus meeting with the federal government, the Congress eventually approved $75 billion. So also for homeowners, that's one of the biggest problems. Like the questions that they've been getting a lot is, am I going to lose my home? So Canadian banks have committed to work with their customers to find solutions to assist financially. And one of them is mortgage payment deferrals. But this is not automatic though. So it is on a case-by-case basis. Also, to put more money into individuals' pockets or families, the child care benefits, this is like an ongoing benefits for families. So they get child care benefits. So for this emergency, they have been increased by $300 per month. And most of the benefits for this emergency thing, it's kind of forecasted for 4 months. So for the next 4 months, I don't know if it's going to be extended, so we'll wait for that. There'll be $300 per child per month. And also, there's an ongoing assistance that Canadians are getting is the goods and service tax credit. So for one time only, the government will give the special good and service tax credit payment by early May for low and modest income families. So that would be close to about $400 per single individuals and close to $600 per couples. So this will be automatically given to people based on their 2018 income tax information. So now on the also for this is tax season here in the West. So usually tax information are due by end of April. So for this tax season, the 2019 tax returns is not due until June 1st. So that means if anybody have new income tax balances due, they can pay for it after August 31 without incurring interest or penalties. So now that's on the federal level, so that's on the national level. On the provincial level, where I am in British Columbia, the government have announced on Monday that the government have announced a $5 billion economic action plan that is being put in place to help support people and businesses in British Columbia as the coronavirus pandemic continues. And also they have changed
Jeanette?
some of the labor codes. Yeah.
Yes, Jeanette. Okay, I need to ask you this. How are your grocery supplies over there? Are they well supplied? How are you guys? Kumusta na po kayo dyan?
The groceries are fine. It's just, with the panic buying, the first ones to go are, everywhere as toilet papers, hand sanitizers and all that.
The usual,
But
yeah.
other than that, they have, retailers have put limit on them. So it's still available, but they could get it like 1 or 2 pieces at a time. They cannot hoard them anymore, like not allowed.
All right, we'll get more updates from you, Jeanette. I wish we had more time. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Keep the updates coming. We'll be calling you back.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mag-ingat.
This is Jeanette Wazo from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. For Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Jeanette. Let's go over to Bahrain. It is one of the first countries to use the malaria drug known as the hydroxychloroquine to treat coronavirus patients. And they reported some success on this. And here's Lorlyn Kalimlim for this report. Lorlyn?
Yes, Ms. Alma, you're right. Good afternoon, Philippines, and good morning, Bahrain.
Good morning over there. Yes, Lorlyn, kumusta po kayo?
Mabuti naman po. We are very good.
Okay.
Yes. As for the government of Bahrain, they keep on combating the coronavirus. As a matter of fact, it is stated in Bahrain News Agency, the state news agency of Bahrain, that Bahrain is one of the countries to use the decades-old malaria drug known as hydroxychloroquine to treat coronavirus patients. The agency quotes Lieutenant General Dr. Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdullah Al Khalifa, the head of the Bahrain's coronavirus task force, who said hydroxychloroquine had been effective in alleviating the symptoms of the virus and reducing its complications. He also added that doctors in Bahrain first used hydroxychloroquine, which is also a treatment for lupus and acute chronic rheumatoid arthritis. And aside from this, Ms. Alma, there are several directives which are being approved and released by the government executive committees. First, gatherings are restricted to 5 persons or even less. Social distancing is also implemented for at least 1 meter apart. Everyone is also urged to stay at home unless necessary to leave the house. For example, leaving the house because you have to go for work or you have to go to hospitals or to buy medicines. Family gatherings like weddings and funerals, if there are also limited to family members alone. Restaurants and food and beverages outlets are still open, however, for takeaway and home delivery purposes only. Partial curfew is also approved by the parliament. However, up to this date, it is not being implemented. So no need to worry, okay? All retailers, non-essential businesses are also advised to close starting March 26th up to April 9th or even till further notice. It depends on the condition of the country.
Okay.
Schools from kindergarten to universities remain closed up to further notice as well. Well, aside from that, part of combating COVID-19, the government also initiates a coronavirus fight volunteers which already registered more than 30,000 citizens and residents. And also they are putting methods of infection prevention posters all over the kingdom written in different languages. And also a multilingual awareness campaign where police force roam around the
Okay, Lordin?
including the Filipino language, and this is to ensure even experts receive the right instructions. And last but not least, this is the latest update from the Ministry of Health as of March 26 at 8 o'clock in the evening. Active cases, we have so far 244, stable 243, critical, we have 1, discharged, we have 210, and death, we have 4.
Okay, Lorlene.
Most of them are really encouraged to report and call 444 for any suspected individual carrying the virus. And of course, in coordination with the Philippine Embassy here in the Kingdom, we have followed accurately whatever the government is releasing directives. It will be officially translated to all Filipinos. And also, as per the Philippine Ambassador Alfonso A. Ver, the Philippine Embassy will remain open, however, to limit the visit unless it is really emergency.
Ayan. Lorlene, pinapakumusta po kayo dyan? How are your grocery supplies? Well supplied ba mga supermarkets natin dyan? How are our kababayans? Okay po ba sila?
Yes, fortunately, Ms. Alma, as per the government, they have assured us to have a food supply for at least 6 months. And also, one of the good things given to us by the government, they will be shouldering the electricity and water bills up to 3 months.
Okay. Are there any economic measures planned or currently set in place to anticipate yung economic slowdown? I know it is a very rich country, but hindi natin maiiwasan. Meron ba? Meron bang measures planned or in place for now?
Yes, meron po. Yes, as per the Ministry of Commerce, they have already instructed the retailers to close muna pansamantala up to April 9th. However, they will resume after April 9th. Well, it depends nga po sa condition ng bansa.
Okay.
But most of them are already closed and they have to follow it. Otherwise, there is a punishment about this one.
Okay, so you can find out more for us because we are really interested in how other countries are coping in these times of crisis. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Lorlene. And please do take care. Ingat po kayo dyan. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Lorlene Kalimlim, your Igulus correspondent from Bahrain, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you for joining us here in ASEAN in Focus, and thank you to our EBC correspondents around the world. Thank you, Ambassador Gary Domingo from New Zealand, for joining us today. Thank you so much, and we'll be updating you on the coronavirus situation around the world. I'm Alma Angeles. We live in interesting times.